The presentation of today's racing program is a copyrighted broadcast of the New York Racing Association, Incorporated. Any rebroadcast, recreation, or retransmission of this broadcast without the expressed written consent of the New York Racing Association, Incorporated is strictly prohibited.
Ladies and gentlemen, to honor America, please stand for our national anthem. And they're off. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to beautiful Belmont Park on a beautiful spring day. Sunny skies, the temperature will be in the 60s. The main track is fast. The turf courses are firm. Potable rail up on the Widener turf at 9 feet and at 27 feet on the inner turf. No carryover in the pick six and no changes in today's first race. And there are no changes in the second. In today's third race, scratch number 2, Vickers Legend. Scratch the 2, Vickers Legend. In today's fourth race, scratch 3, Dark Storm, 11, Auburn Hills, and 12, Jacade. Scratch 3, 11, and 12. A jockey change will be announced for number 4, American Lincoln. Jockey change to be announced for the 4. Race 5 starts the pick 6, and no changes there. In the sixth race, scratch number 3, Precursory. Scratch the 3, and the 7 will be 1 pound over. In race 7, scratch number 4, Torch of Truth. Scratch the 4, Torch of Truth. In the eighth race, scratch 1, Bohemian Ruby, and scratch the also eligibles 11, Uncle Curly through the 16, Convertible Freeze. Scratch 1 and 11 through 16 out of race 8. The featured ninth race is the Elusive Quality Stakes. Scratch number 8, Toro Strike. Scratch the 8, and the 4 is 1 pound over. And in today's 10th race, scratch number 3, Mischief Mogul. Scratch the 3, the 9 is 1 pound over. Fast and firm here at Belmont. We'll come back at 12:50 to recap the changes. First race post is at 1:20. Up next, the April finale of Talkin' Horses with Andy Serling and Anthony Stabile.
Good morning. Do not adjust your TVs. We are outside.
We are.
Welcome to Talking Horses. He is Anthony Stabile. I'm Andy Sterling. It is a beautiful day. The temperatures are up. Hope you're coming out to visit us at Belmont. But if not, appreciate you joining in. We got a lot to talk about, so we're going to get right to work and hand you over to NYRA Bets. If you're not a member of NYRA Bets, no better time than the present to sign up for NYRA Bets. Use the promo code Derby25, $25 sign up Derby bet, and also $200 sign-up match. 20% exacta bonus continues throughout the weekend. I've opted in, Anthony. I'll deal with tomorrow, but I'm dealt with today. I got a little of this yesterday. Got a little cash yesterday from this.
Nice.
Got to opt in for that. That's kind of cool. And what else? We got $25 bonus, $75 on Belmont, Churchill, and Golden Gate. Of course, Churchill, this evening card, 6 to 11. Anthony will be covering that. The majority of that, as well as Meadowlands tonight and America's Day at the Races with our friend Lafitte. LP3. The cross-country Big Five. 3 interesting races at Belmont, including exclusive quality, as well as the 7th and 8th at Oaklawn.
Got a ticket up for that at NYRA Bets.
All right, there you go. I'll be covering those on America's Day at the Races. Anthony, tell us about America's Day at the Races today.
America's Day at the Races, 1 to 11. The entire crew is here. Andy will be on during the day, middle portion. I don't even know what to say, if to say late anymore. We have opening night at Churchill Downs. Yeah. Andy's on 3 to 6. We got the action from Belmont. We got the action from Oaklawn. Churchill Downs opening night. And the Big M, Lafitte, Pinkai, and myself will be covering 7:30 to 11. I think I'm on with Greg for a little while.
Okay. Let's move on. We're good.
All right.
All right.
You wanted
No,
we
got it. We got 10 races to talk about.
Let's go.
Race number 1, I copped out with a horse who will be favored and should be favored, Road to Success. Listen, tried it a little above his head, loosened a horse like No Burn last time, was just better than he is. And I understand he continues to run at a sort of a lower level, but he's probably worth in this 25,000 range. He was claimed for 16. Antonio Arriaga, I'm one of his biggest fans. And I don't know. I just thought he was the controlling speed and just way the horse to beat in this race. I'm not trying to beat him. I was going to try to get Blake B in there, who actually didn't run that badly, I thought, against a very tough field off the claim, and then was in a preposterous spot, 2 times 60 to 1, and maybe I'd try to get him for second in this race.
See, I thought Blake B would try and put a little pressure on Road to Success today. That's what my assumption was. He's not as fast.
Who is?
I would imagine Blake B is going to try to put a little pressure on Road to Success today.
No, but okay.
Okay.
Fine.
Well,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
coming out of the sprint last time, the mile race 2 back. The pace was quick enough, and now he gets Jose Gomez aboard. I would imagine the plan is to be a little bit more forward. But I could be wrong, I guess. It wouldn't be the first time. It won't be the last time. So, that was part of the reason I thought Road to Success was a little vulnerable. I went to my boy Majestic Tiger, and I'm hoping that Majestic Tiger is the one that takes advantage of maybe a little pressure on Road to Success. If I'm right, I have to be right for Majestic Tiger to have a real chance in here.
You have to be right about 87 different things. I'm just wondering at what point we stop having the conversation about paces that don't exist. Yesterday in the stake, it looked like the 2 speeds were the 2 and 4. The 1 and 5 went around the track.
Listen, I know.
You got to stop. It just doesn't happen.
But in here, I mean, it's pretty clear cut in here that
the 6 will be in
the
front.
6 will be in
2 will be
front.
sitting second or third.
I would
or
imagine
fourth.
Blake B's chasing, and I'm hoping Majestic Tiger can kind of trip out a little bit in here. I think he's the one that if
where's
Jose
his race that's good enough?
Well, the race 2 back can win.
No, got a perfect trip that day. Okay, we disagree about Majestic Tiger. I did have him last though. The 3 was my 5th pick, in case you're wondering. So I'm against him.
I wasn't.
Okay, in case you're wondering. What are we at, 104? Oh,
Yeah.
what happened to the last race? No, we made a bet yesterday.
Oh, I won.
You won,
Yeah.
103. What was the bet yesterday?
The 11 versus 10.
11 versus
And you
10.
said something like they'd have to finish 8th and 10th, and I think
Did
they
they
finished 8th and 11th.
At least I got something right. I'm so annoyed now that I forgot, because that would have been like the most fun part of the race.
All right, so what are we doing? What are we doing
No.
with Majestic Tiger?
Well, I happily bet you 6 versus 4.
Sure.
Okay. We'll bet 2 on that if you want. Okay, we're 103.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 lunches. Okay, good. We're off to a good start. Race number 2. So we'll take a look at Aristocratic and Happy Farm, running 1-3. This is 2 back for Aristocratic, and last time for Happy Farm. I'll be honest, Anthony, I have absolutely no knock in any way on
Aristocratic. I mean, it's very hard to, in this race, right? I mean,
Doors to beat.
Unless Happy Farm, and he showed a little life last time with his old speed. Unless Happy Farm is really going to be sent, after Aristocratic. And I guess the same can be said for Uno. I mean, they're just not fast enough.
Well, Uno
they're just not fast. They're just not fast enough.
Well, I mean, Happy
horses.
Farm once was. Doesn't seem.
Absolutely.
I wondered if Jose would make an attempt to be a little bit closer, and I thought, Antonio Arriaga, and listen, I make no bones about it. The guy does a good job. Now, his success is better with routers than it is with sprinters, for whatever it's worth. Maybe it's just the right horses.
Okay.
Maybe he's picked out the better horses. And I don't totally trust Happy Farm in this race, and I have no problem with the idea that you would have him third or even lower. But I'm hoping that maybe giving him a couple months off gives him a chance to get back together. I have no knock on Aristocratic. He is absolutely the horse to beat. I know he's done all right at 6.5 furlongs. I do wonder if it's a little bit of a stretch at this point. I mean, you worry about distance more than I do, but I thought maybe 6.5 could work against him. I tried to make a case for Glory Road in this race. That was actually who I wanted to pick because he's cutting back. I just don't know if he's good enough, even on the turn back end.
It's kind of both, right? You don't know. I mean, it's not like he's had a ton of success. He had the one sprint.
He's a good horse, but he's just not that good. He feels like he's a real cut below the talent of these horses. Why is Mount Travers going to wake up?
I'm going to try and wake him up. He's a fresh gelding for Kanemachi. I feel like their horses have been running a little bit better.
He won a race by a nose yesterday, much as I love him.
No, I feel like overall the horses have been performing a little bit better. I just want to try and wake him up. I didn't, Happy Farm has been in Actress, Linda,
I agree.
Wayne Potts,
I know.
Rudy
He's been in every
Rodriguez,
sharp guy's barn in the planet. I get it.
And he has three layoff lines in between all those races.
No, I get it. Believe me, I got them all circled.
So
I saw
he's
the
a
same
little
thing.
vulnerable,
No, I'm not going to argue with that.
And I want to see if Mount Travers can maybe, like you said, 6.5 is a little bit of a stretch for Aristocratic. And if you're right and Happy Farm puts a little pressure on him, maybe
I don't think he's going to put a little pressure on him.
vulnerability up front.
I don't. See, you and I have a very, very big disagreement. You seem to think when a horse is sitting second, he's putting pressure on him.
No, I don't.
I just want Jose Ortiz to be there.
Be in position.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
fair
don't
enough.
believe they're going to be blistering around the track.
Right.
They almost never.
The old
are
Happy
around
Farm would
the
have a chance to run him down. I just don't
The
know
old
if
Happy
that
Farm
horse
would have a chance to be in front.
Right.
I mean,
Well, Aristocratic's pretty fast.
I
mean,
know,
Happy
but the
Farm
old
was
Happy
pretty fast
Farm
too.
was.
Yeah, he was.
The old Happy Farm was a rocket ship.
Yes, he
He's
was.
just not that horse anymore.
Yes, he was.
But I don't think that horse exists anymore. So race number 3, I think one of the biggest questions of the day, and we both have the horse second, is what is Flowers for Lisa going to do today? And I want to watch the race last time out. And I mean, this is a horse that, frankly, has shown no competitive spirit to win a race in a long, long time. And Ray Lucas, I was making fun of him on Twitter today. Jose Gomez got this horse to rate last time, Anthony, and Anthony got him to rate, and he was able to win.
Lafitte's texting.
What's going to give me this phone? Moving this over here. See, I have a strong opinion about his last race. I think being on a gold rail had a lot to do with him winning that race. But
He still passed horses.
I don't want to deny that he actually passed horses, and he ran
still
a big
passed
figure. And he
horses.
ran a big figure. Now the rail had a lot to do with it, but I got to tell you something. I don't want to trust him coming back on the short rest like this. But he could bury
He
this
still
field.
passed horses. The problem is the short rest, and the problem is
the rail. The gold rail is a big problem.
Is he going to do it again? I would imagine Musical America.
He's got to go.
Who's coming back on short rest as well.
Rob Actress, by the way, is
go.
not great off short rest with claimers. He's 1 for 11 over the last 5 years.
I mean, it's pretty obvious at this point that Musical America is on the other side of the mountain.
I'm going to tell you right now,
but
he's a major player in this race.
I'm not saying he's
I almost
not.
picked him on top.
I almost feel like the race last time, there's the old adage is a race is worth 2 or 3 works. And when you get, he's an 8-year-old with 47 starts under his belt. How much is training really going to help him? So you run him.
How much are old adages going to help him?
It's almost like he worked them last week. And now he's coming back in 6 days and running him the mile.
He can win.
He can win.
Who'd you take?
I took Magnetron.
Eek.
Magnetron was awful in the Dad's Caps. Absolutely, positively
Wasn't particularly
awful.
good in his race before
He's
that.
not a horse that likes to win. But truth be told, I don't trust Flowers for Lisa coming. I don't trust him, but I don't trust Flowers for Lisa coming back. And I think Musical America's on the other side of the mountain, like I said. I don't know. I feel like Rob's horses, after a little bit of a lull, they've been running a little bit better lately. I was going to take a shot with Magnetron today.
I didn't get him at all. I'm going to try the new face, Even Thunder. I'm not in love with him. I thought he could be forward in this race. I thought he could be sitting in a very comfortable spot, hopefully outside of Musical America. And frankly, I look at this field and I think, I don't know, and here he is winning 2 races back at Laurel. I thought this race was good enough to be competitive in here. I don't trust Flowers for Lisa coming off a Gold Rail win. Magnetron, I think, is a joke. Playwright, I think, is sort of a joke. Blood Moon can't compete. And I thought it was sort of Musical America and Flowers for Lisa, who both can win. And I thought that maybe Even Thunder just might be a little interesting as a new face. I don't have any great confidence in him, but I just wanted somebody. Maybe it's just the idea of taking somebody I haven't been looking at all.
I can't argue that.
You know, but I'm not
that
overly confident.
Here.
Race number 4 at 1 1/16. We were on the turf, on the inner turf course. Courses starting to get a nice watering when I was walking in today. We'll take a look at a race where, who'd you take? Smile Brian. We'll take a look at a horse race where Summer to Remember won and Smile Brian ran second. And why do you think Smile Brian, who does not exactly have affinity for finding the winner's circle, is going to run him down today?
I liked everything about his last race. I thought the dirt prep in a race he was eligible, you take a little shot, and you know when you're in the ride for those. Heck, yeah, don't ever do that again.
It's a nice phone. I'm looking at it.
When you stop quoting Steve and David
but
on
they
the phone.
send me help.
I'm talking to. I was talking to Lafitte.
Lafitte, don't ever text him when he's on the air.
He doesn't
with me
know
again.
I'm on Talking Horse.
Well, he should. That's a lack of respect.
They took the blinkers off last time. They ran him in a dirt sprint last time. I think it was a perfect setup for this race. And I also think they tried to win last time. It was going to be 5 lengths.
Does getting the 9 post on the inner turf?
It does bother me. It absolutely bothers me. But I felt like everything was set. And now listen, you can't control the draw. But I feel like they did everything.
Matters.
They did everything. It does. But I feel like Mike Maselli and the barn did everything right to get this horse to this point. He's going to be a better price than Summon to Remember and Grand Journey.
4-1.
He's
the same price as Grand Journey.
But I think he's going to be a better price because of the post. David has the 1, 2, 6, and 10 the same prices in here, essentially.
No, he has the 6 favored. Okay, I don't think he's impossible, but he's not a horse that likes to win. He had no excuse not to run down Summer to Remember last time. And there are other potential speeds in here with the 4-horse, but the reality of this race is that Summer to Remember figures to get a cozy trip in here, and I'm not sure why he really rates to lose to the 10. I'm more interested in Grand Journey. I think, did I have a stat for Grand Journey? Mike Maker, for what it's worth, synthetic to turf, 20%, 220 ROI. Seemed like he got a prep last time. He draws a very good post to the inside, and I just thought he might be the best horse, and I thought he'd get good position in here. I thought he was supremely logical. I mean, I thought the race was very much the 1, 2, 6, and 10. I don't think too many people would strongly argue against that sentiment.
I don't know where else you're planning on going in here.
I just feel with Smile Brian, you've got a horse that A, doesn't like to win, and B, draws the worst post of any of them. The horse that interests me a little bit is Big Agenda on the rail. Joe Sharp claimed this horse. He's been running very cheaply, and he ran him in an insane spot last time. So did he want to give him a race up here? Did he think the horse was doing so well? I mean, he was almost 100-1 in his last start. Yeah. And Joe's not a dummy. You know what I mean? It's like they ran him in a race he had no chance in. So there had to be some rhyme or reason for it. And I don't love him of his form, but he is a horse that has back form that's pretty darn good, and I think he can get back to it. I think he's a major win candidate in here, this horse.
Yeah, he can win. I think things would have to really go of the contenders, for the lack of a better term, in here. He's probably the one affected the most by the fact that Someone to Remember figures to get a pretty easy time of it on the front end.
But I don't know, why is he supposed to be in front of American Lincoln? Don't you think American Lincoln's supposed to go in
Well,
here?
I'm not necessarily saying he's going to be in front of him. But
well, you just said an easy time on the front end.
On the front end, I mean, he's going to be alternating or just off of this horse.
So he won't have an easy time on the front end.
But American Lincoln's speed, he's going to have an easy time of it on the front end, whether he's in front or whether he's sitting second, because he's going to have
No, he's not going to have an easy time on the front end if he's sitting second. I can promise you that he won't have an easy time on the front end if he's sitting second, because that'll be sitting second.
You're in some mood today.
No, but that's a silly comment.
You're in some. I'm in no mood today.
I can
You're
tell.
in some mood today.
I can tell, but regardless.
On the front end, on the lead would be the horse in front. On the front end would be the horses towards the front of the pace.
Can we have a vote? I'm going to have a Twitter poll.
Let's do a vote on that.
When I get on my desk, and people are going to ask me if they think there's a difference between on the front end and having the lead.
You don't think there's a difference?
No, Anthony.
Okay.
I think that's a silly way to put
Okay.
it. But anyway, we'll disagree again. Race number 5 at 6.5 furlongs. This is an interesting race because I don't know about you. I didn't think there was any definitive center to this race. I don't think there's any absolute horse to beat in this race.
Well, that's evident
look
by
at
the
the
morning
line,
line,
right?
The number 9, Banker's Daughters, you're 4-1. And I mean,
And
we're
she
talking about
never
a horse that's
wins.
1 for 16 with 7 seconds. That's who the morning line favorite is. So yes, I don't disagree with that. This was a doozy.
I think it's a very interesting race. Go ahead with Moam.
So along those lines, Mr. Serling, I had a half a dozen horses go in this race. And I went to the horse that has a change. She's getting the Lasix. She certainly ran, at the very least, her last race like a horse that bled. I don't know if she bled or not.
No. She stumbled back at the start in a paceless race.
Yeah,
and
but
sort of
the rest of it, through the lane, it certainly looked like she kind of was just geared down. Her head went up. I kind of believe she bled. I don't have knowledge of that. She gets the Lasix. She gets another break. I don't love the break again, especially the way she ran first time off the break. She just didn't do much running at all.
Well, no. Hang on a second. That was a track that was an incredibly big rail, and she was wide, and she didn't get out of the gate kind of sluggishly. So while she actually didn't run horrendously in that race, I'm not going to agree with that. I don't love this horse. I don't really love her maiden win, but I don't think she. I think she had an excuse first time.
If you're in my boat, if you're in my camp today, you're hoping that Lasix helps, because if the Lasix doesn't help, she has no chance. She just came back from the layoff and she just can't run anymore.
Yeah, see, I disagree with that. You're talking about a horse that.
You feel like she did any running after the 2 breaks in her last 2?
Yeah.
So I don't feel like she did a lot of running.
Okay, we disagree. I think her first start of the layoff is a lot better than the Fig looks. That was a huge gold rail. The first 3 finishers, including Thinking It Over, number 5, who we both agree is a player in here, were on the rail. She was wide after getting left, and I know people who liked her last time. So, and she was in contention, and you're probably making
I liked her a little bit
an
last time.
excellent point that she fell apart, and she could well have bled. That could be true. No, I think there's reasons to think that she's an interesting horse, because forgetting about bleeding in the Lasix, forgetting about that, something went wrong last time. She just ran.
She just didn't.
It's hard to imagine she would be entered again if something didn't go wrong. So I think from that perspective, it's okay to say I'll give her a slight bias. She's supposed to be a price today. And that's also fine. I mean, if she were 5-1, she'd be a bad bet.
Right.
But it did
But
double
in this
digit odds.
race, she almost has to be double
So,
digits.
and I think she has a major. Put it this way: if she was making her 3rd start, if she just had her 2 races, I'd have picked her on top in here, because I think she had enough reason to think. And in this race, I mean, she ran a race that's fast enough to compete with these as a 2-year-old. I didn't love the race, but having said that, you have to take a broader view.
Correct.
So I think that she's very usable in this race. I think Thinking It Over is dangerous in here. That bump Sally at the start. Well, yeah, but she's kind of the one who did it. She kind of
caused her own trouble last time.
She did cause her own trouble, and she also broke a lane slow, and she was also on the rail the whole way and had a good trip. I like adversity in here. I assume that Blame It on Mary. I just assume, because around here you never know. And this is Adversity's win at Saratoga on a sloppy track in his 2nd start. Adversity is going to be forward in here, and got involved in a pretty quick pace, going 7 furlongs last time out in the Jimma. And I'm not gonna hold that race against him. She's going to have to get faster. There's no doubt about it. And I'm certainly not in love with her off beating the Honorable Ruth in this race. But it feels like these Cassie horses run okay off fresh. We saw that one run so well, albeit with the racetrack running back in the Ruffian. And I thought Adversity just might be kind of an interesting horse. And she's also got a gigantic pedigree. And I know it doesn't mean a whole lot, but she does have a gigantic pedigree. And I just thought maybe she could be an interesting horse that would be forwardly placed in a race where I'm hunting and pecking for horses here.
You know what I was really, I agree. I put a 4th. I think she's a little interesting. What was curious to me was, first off, it's 6.5. And I always worry a little bit, especially off the break. And she has a pretty lengthy layoff. I don't love the 6.5 off 7 months. It's a little tough. That's 1. 2, she doesn't have a work since April 12th.
That you know of.
That I know, right. And that's the question. When did she get here? She's only been here for 3 weeks. That's down at Cassie's training facility in Ocala.
Here for a week.
Right. She might have been here for a week. There's no work.
So why would they train her all winter and then run her when she needs her work?
I don't know. The 6.5. was the thing.
Okay,
the
these,
6.5
I
and the
get
lack
it.
of the
There are a
work
lot of
makes me a little-
intangibles.
Yeah,
That's fine. I get it. I think she can win.
But she's
going
interesting.
to be a good price.
Yeah.
Anybody else we need to touch on here?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think True Empress a little bit just because the barn's running well. The Weaver barn. She finally got to the winner's circle last time. I mean, she did not beat Liberty Flame came back to win, but she did not beat the toughest bunch. But I think in these races that are so wide open, you have to respect hot barns.
Okay. Well, we'll disagree about her, but that's fine. It's an open race.
Oh,
We'll see what happens.
it's not so much her that it is the barn.
Okay. Late pick 5 after a quick break.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Race number 6 at 7 furlongs. Let's, I guess, wow, he has Dame Time 5-1. Take a look at Dame Time running second. The turf was followed up by a disaster at Saratoga and a layoff, and is now with back with Michelle Nevin. I don't love this back channel race. Back channel wired the field a huge price. The pace held together.
Paid like $100,
But
right?
Is this horse really going to be a big price in here? She got a 70 buyer on the synthetic in her return.
Well,
I know this horse might be close to favoritism depending on the first-time starters.
You know, if you're just basing it off her turf form, I think it's a coin flip. What kind of price she's going to be?
But
Are
you've
they
got
gonna
a
bet the
Bilbon horse off a 13-month layoff. It was going route. She's terrible turning back. And a horse that's run well sprinting.
Maybe.
David's usually right, and I'm usually wrong. I misread. I thought this horse would be the clear favorite of the horse that ran.
Right.
But you've got horses, like the 2 and the 8 in particular, that both are 7. Are 7 that are dangerous first-time starters. You have taken Gather the Facts.
Yeah, I split the Chad Brown firsters, and of course the only reason the Brown and Pletcher firsters. It's in my contract that I have to pick at least one Klarovich horse a day, so this was the one.
Didn't pick the other 3.
I didn't pick the other 3. No,
Dan
was 0 for 7.
I told Seth he's happy.
I'm sure. 0 for 7, 0 for 6.
Well,
on
after
the
you
turf.
buried, after I said, Seth, after you bury the poor guy in Wood Memorial Day, how can you expect him to keep picking your horses?
I did. Did he bury me or did I bury him?
Then the implication was that it may have been your fault, but I tried to switch it around a little bit to try to be nice to you.
So, yeah, I went with Gather the Facts in here. I thought I thought this was a pretty interesting race.
Do we know if this horse is any good?
I don't know.
I'm rooting for this horse because he's as a weanling. But you know the pedigree is in this race.
The pedigree in this race is the number 1, not so
No
grim.
doubt. It's a half division perfect.
Yeah.
Plenty of turf in that family for Dave Donk. And
Vision
Nyquist
Perfect
have done okay in the turf.
Vision Perfect was a stakes winner, if I'm not mistaken, a stakes winner on the grass from 5 to a mile and an eighth or a mile and a 16th. He was versatile.
He was second to takeover target in the Hill Prince at 1,000,000 to 1, wasn't he?
Here
In a soft turf.
That's the day that was the day my vocal cord collapsed. The
But
day
wasn't
after,
that
yes,
wasn't
it
he
was.
was second to
Super Saturday. Yep.
to take over
Yes,
target
he was.
at a huge price?
Don had him at the time. I think
Yeah.
Manny Franco rode him.
Yeah.
He had the lead turning for home.
Yeah. He ran, yes,
Yep.
take over target ran him
And
down.
then he turned into a turf sprinter down in South
Well,
Florida.
he got claimed by a guy who's currently under federal indictment for using performance-enhancing drugs. He got really good when that guy claimed him. It's a coincidence.
That's when he won the sprint
It was
race.
a
When it
coincidence.
looked like a horse that wanted to go a mile and an eighth, a mile and a quarter, and he started winning sprint stakes.
Well, he could have just kept running in those races and done it. Yeah, right. Did he win the Turf Monster or one of those? Or maybe,
That's what
he won a race. And I think he
won
bombed in the Turf Monster.
he
or
won
something.
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
They were also,
He was the favorite
They were
in the
also
Turf Monster.
unreliable at times.
Yeah.
With bells on, the Dam. The Dam's actually was a Pletcher horse.
2 for 2.
2 for 2. Yeah, she had one foal that did a little bit of running the turf.
Doesn't the American Pharaoh? The American Pharaohs immediately. I think they're born in grassy fields, and they just automatically just.
Here's what it
try
is,
turf.
Anthony. No, what it is that when a highly regarded sire is not doing well at stud, they say.
He's a turf star. Yeah, right.
Smarty Jones, right? Spectacular bid, right? Affirmed,
Smarty
right.
Jones, at least they had a leg to stand on. He was an elusive quality, which we'll get to later on today.
We will.
But yeah.
Anyway, I think he's dangerous. I'm interested in Snow Loves a Fight. I'm not exactly sure. Well, I didn't show the replay, but you could watch it. I mean, Kendrick was as determined to drag this horse to the back of the pack as any rider I've ever seen in a race. I mean, I'm not saying, whatever, but it was also a time that the inside was the place to be, and this horse was out, too wide. I mean, Henry didn't lose a lot of ground. The turn, he actually was fine, but he angled out, and he ended up trying to rally wide, and that race was won on the front end, on the inside. It was a very inside-y race,
Yep.
So I'm going to take a shot with this horse who comes out of the first turf race of the year. Snow loves a fight. So I just want to say this. I will not be rooting as loud as the notice. But I will tell you one thing which you'll really enjoy. So they won a race here on opening day, and I like to pick the horse too.
I feel like their horses are starting to run a little bit better as well.
I found something very interesting. They were right next to. We were doing the thing in the box downstairs where we did the show, and they were rooting hard for the horse. When I had picked I didn't bet the race. When I picked the horse, I found it a little less annoying that they were rooting.
That's called us Mets fans call that the Max Scherzer
I'm
effect.
taking a new approach to it. I'm just going to have fun with them.
I never liked that Max Scherzer guy until he put the orange and blue on.
Well, that's always the case.
Love that guy now.
That's always the case. It is amazing, right? There are some of those guys, like in the NBA, they say we only like him if he's on your team. I don't like a Pat Beverly. I don't care what team he's on. I love that guy. Race number 7. So the eternal question with the Southern District is, can he run back to this race? And if he runs back to his last race, he's going to win this race, and then they're going to have to find stake races to run him in.
Yes, they are.
I'll tell you something about this race. I had forgotten this. I had in my mind that it was a muddy, sloppy, muddy sealed track. And I thought, maybe he just freaked the mud. No, it was a muddy harrow track, and it wasn't that kind of track.
This is the day it kind of opened up late, and
it
really dried out.
Destroyed this field.
So you could see him. When you see kick up like that.
Right. Well, it was like dusty kick up. It wasn't right exactly.
When you
That's
see
what
kick
I
up
saw
like that,
right. I agree.
You can upgrade the track conditions.
Closer to good to fast.
Correct. Right.
I agree.
Yeah. That track was good. That track was good at worst.
They weren't splashing.
Not at all.
They were dust.
You saw dust. Yeah.
I thought the exact same thing.
It was a weird day. It was a weird track. I remember that day. It kind of was drying out late. It was windy. It's been windy every day at Aqueduct. But yeah. But if he runs that race, they were all running for second one. It's been windy for 6 years at Aqueduct.
Maybe closer to 106 years, actually.
Richie, when I was doing my old radio show up on the Equestrians, Richie came up to do some work, and he would look. He was like, you would see these flags, and Richie's been like me, been at Aqueduct his whole life, and just didn't remember. But the last 5 or 6 years, it's been like a wind tunnel over there.
It took Richie a little while to learn about wind, though. He is a jockey. Let's be honest.
Richie knows a lot about the tides and the moon and all of the weather that goes into it over at Aqueduct. He really does.
So I do think he has a major rival in this race, which you're not a big fan of. I'm going to tell you something. This is a very important race for Waxman because his bad habits reared their ugly head last time, and I'm skeptical. He put it together. I get it. He ran okay 2 back and ran very well 2 back and ran well when he broke his maiden. But he turned back into the same problem horse he was last time, and I don't want any part of him.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping that it was just. I'm hoping he finds his form again. He gets his Lasix back, which could be troubling if he needs his Lasix.
No, why would you not run him on late? Nah.
No, I'm just saying it could be troubling.
He
if
didn't lose last time because of the Lasix.
No, I mean the track wasn't in his favor.
Oh, come, Anthony.
He behaved badly. He behaved badly. He also ran
track.
against better horses.
Anthony, he was awful.
He was awful.
He was awful. He reverted back to the bad habits he had shown in the past that you thought he was over.
And the problem,
which I thought he was.
The other problem could be, and I've believed this from day one, that he might be a marathon kind of horse. He might be a horse that just wants a whole lot of ground, and maybe that helps him overcome his problems. To me, he looks like he's just one of these big lumbering.
He ran a 91 Beyer in 7 furlongs his debut.
I know. I'm very well aware, but he just looks like a horse that's going to want. As obviously as the competition gets tougher, he's not going to be able to get away with it. His class gets him to run the 91.
Oh, well,
but now he has to. He's running against a real horse. I mean, he's running against a real horse.
Well, he's got. I'm going to tell you something. I told you this after that race yesterday, and you knew I was right about We Ready, that you should have picked him last time.
I should have.
Because you're the one who makes nothing but a big deal
about
distances and wet tracks.
I should have picked him.
And that was his first race on a dry track sprinting.
100% right.
Well, Anthony, why don't you go through Tiergan's PPs when he's on fast tracks?
Oh, yeah.
And you might get fooled by that wet track record. It doesn't matter anymore. His last fast track race, 96 Beyer, won by 4 3/4. His prior one, 96 buyer, finished third, but had a ridiculous wide trip against a gold rail. His prior one, he wanted a mile and eighth at Saratoga with an 86 buyer. His fast track races are significantly better than his wet track. This is a horse that it's legitimate to point out wants to be on a dry track, and I think a one-turn mile is perfect for him. And in my opinion, if Veterans Thunder District loses his race, he's going to lose to Tiergan, not to Waxman.
Okay.
I mean, I think he is classic. I agree with you that the Reds is a horse that can improve. The problem is, what race does the Reds have that can leapfrog the 3, 5, and 6?
So if you're looking at better a price in here, I think the Reds is the right horse, and here's why. He doesn't have that race, but we didn't see him for 9 months. It was his first start as a 4-year-old. I thought he ran really well last time.
He ran fine last time. I'm not going to argue that.
9 furlongs. He made that little bit of a middle move. He was allowed to get tired late. He ran into a horse that could be okay in Vindictive. And now he gets his second start off the bench. I thought if you wanted to get a horse into the gimmicks here at a price, the Reds was the horse.
Okay, race number 8 at a mile and a 16th. At first I was looking at this race, I was thinking it was the other division, and then I realized no.
By the way, race 7 starts the cross-country pick 5.
Thank you, Anthony. There's a ticket available.
There's a ticket, yes.
What'd you do in race number 8?
I went to Umbria.
You like those outside posts?
Yeah, I took another outside post.
Races.
Yeah, I wanted to make a case to put Saratoga Flash on top, fresh gelding, stretching back out.
But you didn't.
But I didn't.
Fine. Okay.
No, I didn't. I just felt like Umbria's turf races. I just feel like he's better than these horses.
Really?
And yeah, I do.
Beat Sandro the Great.
I do. I know who he beat, but I like the way he did it. I like his turf races overall. I thought all of his grass races were good, and I know that the post stinks, but I couldn't justify taking somebody on top of him.
Okay, I thought he definitely one of the horses that could win this race. I don't have any argument with that. I want to show Lord French here, the last race he ran in November, because I think it's an important point. It says squeeze back at the start. He wasn't really. He broke a little slow, and he kind of got pushed out of the race, but, wow, they didn't show much of that. But the reality is he's a slow plotter.
Yeah.
So he ended up back where he always ends up. But you see any massive difference? And the other thing about this race was this race completely collapsed.
Everybody was just backing him through the field.
And you see where he is right now making a move. He could have won this race.
It looks better. It looks better than it is.
It looks better on paper.
No
now,
question about it.
In fairness, Grape Nuts Warrior and No Salt are okay. So he lost to some decent horses.
Lost to real horses,
but the problem is he's 1 for 10 with 4 seconds. He's got IRAD, and he's going to be coming from way back. There's just every accoutrement to be overbet and not the kind of horse you want in these races.
And
he can win.
And his layoff races in the past are the worst of his cycle. So he looks like a horse that needs one.
He also may have.
To me.
No,
You think he just got better?
I
See,
think
it looks to me like he needs one off the break.
I think he just improved.
Okay. Fair enough.
Now,
but it's not like you're going to find out at a big price, Andy. He's going to be the second choice.
That's the whole point.
That's the problem.
You're getting a deep closer that, if he had a little trouble at the start, it didn't really affect him. Because
and like you said, horses like him
there.
that do have trouble at the start, does it really bother them that much?
No.
They're going to be there anyway.
Right, exactly. He's going to be back there. And part of the reason he was back there is because he's always going to be back there. I like the 4 Rally Squirrel. We'll take a look at his race down in Florida. I'll be honest with you, and with all due respect to my friend Tom Morley, and I think he'll agree. Either this horse was going to start getting better, or he improved off the claim. And I'm not looking to pick on Tom, as you well know. And I know he got a very good trip in this race, but Tackle, who he beat, is a lot better than the kind of horses that he would. Look at Tackle. Tackle buried him the race before in New York.
Yeah.
And I know he got a very good trip in this race, and I'm not denying that, but it also feels like he won that race, and they said, well, we don't want to offer him for a tag anymore. He should be in a New York bred non-winners of 1. So unless we can find a star allowance when I run, why don't we just wait?
And they did find the star.
They did, and then
it
got rained off.
But
and
that's
they
fine.
took a
It's
shot
like you
at
said, at that point.
They weren't giving this horse away.
Right. At that point, when you win, you just want to find a way to April in New York, and they did.
And I can't deny that he just seemed to run well. And now listen, I'm a little bit circumspect about taking horses that ran well on the turf course, the Durf course in Florida, because it's a fourth surface.
But he ran well enough at Aqueduct.
He did, but he ran so much better in this race because he got loose at Aqueduct, and the track was in his favor. That's when the rails were down. And his race just in time for 1 was awful. And he rated in this race that he won, good trip or not. So I'm going to see if he's sort of moving forward. We'll see. And I couldn't make, there's just not any turf pedigree on the Salute to Americas and Mr. Breadwinners in this race that I could use first time in the grass. Thought the elusive quality came up a fun race. These 7 furlong races are good. I ended up picking value proposition. I don't totally trust him at a short price, and I got a feeling he'll be lower than 3-1 in this race.
He figures to be. I think he'd be closer to 2-1.
Yeah,
right?
He's just a horse that always gets bet. But I think there's also reason to suggest that he's maybe lost a bit of a step. But I believe if you take a look at him, I wish he had gotten some pace to run out in the turf sprint aqueduct. They scratched the owner's speed at the gate. Because I think he could be a turf sprinter. I think he wants to go shorter. And these one-turn races at Belmont are all his best races. I just think these are the races where he's able to relax the best and run his best races. So I took him, but I don't have a huge amount of confidence.
It was a coin flip. We're having some graphic issues, so
I blame Francisco for that.
It's all in all likelihood.
Things were working when you weren't in the
I
truck.
blame Claude, but he's not here. 11-6-5-1 on my figures here.
6-7-11-1.
Okay. Listen. You could have flipped a coin for me between Therapist and value proposition, really.
Why do you like Therapist?
Therapist is cutting back to the one turn, which I think is more of his wheelhouse. Again, another outside post for me on the turf, and more often than not I stay away from them, but he's going to be...
Why is that a bad post for him?
Well,
he's going to drop back.
Yeah, he's supposed to. I'm hoping...
I 100% agree with you that 7 furlongs is perfect for him.
He won this... When did he win this race? In 19?
Well, no. He won. It wasn't called this when he should have been disqualified. It's on the PPs when he beat Majestic Dunhill. They called it the first defense, but it was essentially this race because it was opening weekend at Belmont when we came back from the pandemic. He might have won this race before, but in other words, what I'm saying, though, is that the first defense was also basically this race. The other important factor with Therapist, frankly, is the rider.
Well,
I mean, he's getting, but that's
a
a major reason you picked him, and I think it's fair.
Yeah,
he's getting Joel Rosario, and this is a horse. Now, to be fair, he's a very difficult horse to ride. And Eric has given him some good rides in the past. He's given him some less than good rides, but he's also given him. He's
given him some less than good rides in one. He was on him. He was on him that day when.
But the reality is, there's nothing that Eric can do about the fact that he's been running, and it's not Christoph's fault. There's just very few races for him at the right distance here.
You just didn't blame Christoph for something?
I'll blame him for some other things. Believe me, I'm going to torture him at some point during the day. Christoph doesn't get off easy with me. No, I agree with you. I think he's really interesting today. I do. I tell you what I worry a little bit about with him. I just wonder if he's getting a little older. But I agree with you. He's a must use. It's funny. I had to cut my phone conversation short with David Aragona. Somebody I had to speak to rang. He hates Snapper Sinclair in here, and I think he's super dangerous. You don't have him anywhere either, right?
I feel like.
What'd you pick this race?
11-6. I got a little scuttle buzz in there, and I got a little penalty in there.
We'll get to the penalty. We'll definitely get to. Scuttle buzz is ridiculous.
So
let me just talk about Snapper Sinclair. This is running second to Lieutenant Dan. I don't understand I think this is a sort of a one-turn type horse. You look at the Taurus Mile, and he was second to Flavius that day, and I worry that he's coming back 5 weeks from Dubai.
This might be the quickest one I've seen.
It's one of the quicker ones I've seen. There was one that was really quick. This is maybe one of the quickest ones I've ever seen.
Mubtahij came over for the Derby when he was there. Mubtahij. He came over to the Derby in 5 weeks, but that's a little different.
Say that name again?
Mubtahij. Mubtahij.
Remind me who that is.
Are you kidding? You don't remember my obsession with Mubtahij? Oh, I wasn't doing the show. Mubtahij. He won the Dubai.
You were saying it like everybody. Like a secretariat or something.
There were buttons from Mubtahij. I have a button from this place. Yeah, Mubtahij. He wound up with Bob Baffert. He wound up being a Grade 1 winner. He won the Awesome again. He finally got a Grade 1 win.
What race did he win in Dubai?
The UAE Derby. He won it by like 11. He was in the American Pharaoh Derby.
You know what's great about the UAE Derby? Every year it provides at least one automatic throw-out in the Kentucky Derby.
I learned an expensive lesson in 2015.
And this year they're all going to be by the Japanese horse. Because I don't know if you've heard this. The Japanese horses are doing really well. I don't know if you've heard that. Have you guys heard that?
I've heard, Andy.
Yeah, that horse will be about as dramatic and underlay as you could possibly find.
4 to 5.
There's a problem with him. No disrespect. He's slow.
He's slow, yes. How did we get to Mubtahij? Oh, to 5 weeks.
Because you could segue apparently from anything to Mubtahij.
He's like the Kevin Bacon.
God, I don't remember him at all.
You're kidding me. He was going to leave, and then they left him here for the Belmont, and he made a run. He took a run at American Pharaoh on the far turn. and he wound up finishing 4th behind Keen Ice, and Froster was 2nd, and Keen Ice was 3rd. He wound up running 4th. Oh yeah.
I cannot. Wow, I'm scared.
Michael DeCock,
so
Christophe Soumillon.
Here's the problem with Scuttlebuzz. He's not good enough, and he's a 6 furlong horse. But other than that, why do you have him 3rd?
Rudy's Barn's going well. This horse is 4 for the last 5. Listen, you see what you were saying about how maybe Therapist is getting a little older. Value Proposition is a tough horse to ride. Maybe Scuttlebuzz was just in form. He got his winter break because he couldn't outrun me and you on the dirt.
Why not take Big Package? You wanted 7. I mean, you've got a Dave Donk obsession, too.
I got him 5th. He's the famous 5th pick.
So penalty. I agree that 7 furlongs is the right distance for him.
Yep.
It's unusual to see a new gelding at 7. The problem I have is that Chewing Gum and Canthok aren't as good as these horses. But he did run well that day. I bet him that day. It's the right distance for him. I don't disagree with that. I'm just not sure he's quite good enough to beat these horses. But I've got him 4th just like
he
you
overcame no pace that day, too. Remember, it was just
apparently they've removed Francisco from the truck, and they've got somebody who can competently get the picks up there.
Bobby Klatt may have just went and took
Anybody
over.
interesting in there now? Francisco?
Anyone?
And we got to see Francisco yesterday. It was really exciting.
Did.
He's a great man. All right. So I'm going to stop you right now. We go to the last race here. I don't want to hear any nonsense. You don't have a tip. Because if you picked a first-time Christophe Clement horse, and by the way, there is a tip on this horse, over a first-time Klarovich horse, I know you've got a tip. So if you try to lie, your nose is going to go from here to that window.
Why did you have to steal my thunder? Yes, I have a tip on the horse.
Of course you do.
That's all.
There is. I heard a tip on this horse, too.
There's a tip on the horse.
Yeah.
I heard it from like 3 people.
Really? I heard it from 1, but I heard it from the right one.
Okay.
I did not pick him on top, though.
I did.
Is he a wildebeest?
I don't. I was told that the horse can run.
Okay.
From 3 different. I mean, you couldn't get 3. If we put these 3 people at dinner, I know who's picking up the check, but they're ordering 3 different things, and the conversation they could all get away to whoop the heesh too.
So here's what I know about basis risk.
Okay.
I heard what's the great trainer line I heard about him? He could be.
He
could be.
Any kind?
A work short. Could
be.
That means if he wins, he wants it, and if he loses, he did.
That's like a Cards Against Humanity game. He could be. Fill it in. Any kind. A work short.
First time start. It's a work short.
A work short. A little green.
It's always work short. I can't believe that Christophe doesn't think. He must think George's Gambit's a work short. If he loses,
I'm going to say this, okay? And I didn't go look up every.
If you don't know that, by the way, that's the great lie in racing.
I didn't go look up every Christophe Clement first-time starter. Don't you feel like that's a lot of works for a tab for his horse?
I don't know.
That's a dozen works, and it's a full tab.
You know who
I
always
can't
used to
remember
say work
that.
short? Howie Tesher. Always a work short.
Yeah.
Always a work short.
Howie.
Great man.
Howie knew knew insurance lines before anybody else did.
I'm going to go with a horse that ran in here. No, disrespect at all about. Moob Tahij was 3rd in FNX Suburban, Aragona. See, I'm going to look at Ouster. Let's look at Ouster's first race before they get a hook out and get us off the stage. It's a little chilly up here, by the way.
It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
He got left. He didn't break. He's the number 6 in this race. He ends up in last. I thought he actually ran really well in here. And I'm not sure. Now, I don't think because Kamikaze came back and won the stake that this makes this a better race than it was.
Kaz Mike. I want to call him Kamikaze, too.
Yeah. I bet I've had a lot of success with him. He beat me for a fortune last week, and I needed him when he lost his debut by a nose at 5-1.
Buried me.
I thought this horse really ran. And the other thing was, it's not like he had a perfect trip in there. He got left. He had to go behind horses, take some dirt, and he was running at the end. And I know the race was coming apart a little bit at the end as the winner was going by. But I like that he got the determination to sort of get 3rd at this point. I thought he was okay. Now listen.
Full disclosure, I heard a little on Abreu as well. The 8, 2
I
for
thought
charging.
he was low. He's a homebred for Old Tavern. They're out in the lake in Saratoga Lake. The dam was more turfy, but there was one fall around the turf didn't run well. I figured that horse could be live.
He had 2 months. He has a 2-month gap in his works from February 3rd to March 31st.
What was he doing?
But
Cruise.
Maybe he went to Gulfstream.
He was a work short.
It's work short.
I thought that the 11 was the right horse of those that ran. And in general, I'm going to take horses that ran over first-time starters. Would you have any interest? I didn't put him in there in the 5 majority partner. He's a zillion to 1, but he was in a maiden special. They ran him down in Florida. Doesn't he strike you as a little bit interesting in here? He could be
I'll tell you what. I thought he was a little interesting. I thought the 4 Tap in the Bank was a little interesting.
I didn't think he was. He didn't do any running first time.
I know.
He didn't do any running first time.
He chased a little bit and then he tired.
Didn't really get bet.
We didn't see him for a while. He's by your boy Central Banker. We got to go.
Central banker.
That's your
I
boy.
should be,
That's
he-
your boy.
I am his boy. Okay.
You're
let me
his
tell
boy?
you.
Ah, fair enough. You could be, maybe you're just boys.
He's having a lot of fun, and I played a role in it. More fun than we are. Anyhow, head
Does
over to
anybody have more
Naira
fun
Bets.
than we are?
I just ripped the thing off. I just restapled it, too. It's very annoying.
Terrible.
Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code Derby25, free Derby25 for Derby Bet, and $200 sign-up bonus. We also have the exacta bonus. Have you opted in, Anthony?
Of course.
That's what you're doing now, right?
Yeah. No, I hit it. We took advantage of this on Thursday.
I was
already.
kidding.
Come on, Andy.
That's all the races. Opt in over at Naira Bets. We've also got, you also have to opt in for this. Golden Gate, Belmont, and Churchill, $75 or more on each, and you will get a $25 bonus, win or lose. We also have Cross Country Pick 5, 3 at Belmont, all interesting races, and 2 at Oaklawn as well. They'll all be on America's Day at the Races, which stretches from 1 until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Anthony will be closing it out. I mean, what better way to get yourself to fall asleep than to watch you and not only you and Lafitte, but LaDuca at Churchill. So, I mean, if you're going to miss that show, you better have one very, very good excuse.
Tie on.
Rick Schosberg, by the way, is going to be on early in the show. He's been out there for about half an hour. He's really chomping the bit. He hasn't done the show enough.
I think he's acclimating to the weather.
He hasn't done the show long enough
think that's the
to
move.
know that you don't need to show up a half an hour in advance. But don't worry, he'll get, we'll get with
He'll
the
start
program.
walking on set with 5 minutes to go like the rest of us do.
Who was I on Talking Horses with when was it Jean Cruguet or some rider was up here and he tried to walk on the set while we were on the air. I
Probably
think I was with
Cruguet.
Jason.
That's a Cruguet move.
I think it was Cruguet.
I used to get
years
here
ago.
I used to get here like 40 minutes before the show started and would just sit here.
Really?
Yeah. I can't believe I just admitted that on the air.
Hey, listen.
That's a good. You know what? Before I say anything else, can we go, please?
It is what it is. Everybody have a great day. It's a wonderful day, an excellent card, beautiful weather here at Belmont Park. John and Brielle up next when they reprise the scratches and changes. Have a great afternoon.
Hello, racing fans, and once again, welcome to beautiful Belmont Park. Ideal conditions today, sunny skies, the temperature in the 60s, the main track is fast and the turf courses are firm, and there are no changes in today's first or second races. Third race, scratch the 2, Vickers Legend. Scratch number 2, Vickers Legend. Out of the third. In today's fourth race, scratch 3, Dark Storm. Scratch 11, Auburn Hills, and 12, Jacade. Scratch 3, 11, and 12. A rider change on the 4, American Lincoln, to Jose Lascano. Jose Lizcano will ride the 4, American Lincoln. Race 5, no changes. In today's 6th race, scratch the 3, Precursory, scratch number 3, and note that the 7 is 1 pound over. In race 7, scratch number 4, Torch of Truth, scratch the 4. In race 8, we have these scratches. Scratch 1, Bohemian Ruby, and scratch the also eligibles 11, Uncle Curly through the 16, Convertible Freeze. Scratch 1 and 11 through 16. The 9th race is the Elusive Quality Stakes. Scratch number 8, Toro Strike. Scratch the 8. Number 4 is 1 pound over. And in today's 10th race, 10th and final race, scratch number 3, Mischief Mogul, scratch the 3, and note that number 9 will be 1 pound over. Main track fast, turf courses firm, the Saturday opener at beautiful Belmont Park in 27 minutes at 1:20.
How does horse racing support New York's economy? It's responsible for 19,000 jobs and more than $3 billion in annual statewide economic impact. These good-paying jobs support working families across the state and sustain thousands of small businesses both on and off the track. Horse racing in New York means jobs and opportunities now and in the future. We are New York horse racing.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
amazing,
Get 'em
all
up.
the stuff that she...
Nobody does as much.
It's the first Saturday of the Belmont Spring Meet, and what a day we have in store for you today on America's Day at the Races. Coming up today at Belmont, we have the elusive quality as value proposition multiple stakes winner gets back to 7 furlongs. He's a quirky horse and a tough one to ride. Can he find the winner's circle today? How about Snapper Sinclair, the versatile runner for Steve Asmussen, who makes his first start back stateside after trying the Godolphin Mile at Maydon last time out. Live racing for you today from Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Steve Asmussen leading the trainer standings there at Oaklawn, and he has 2 chances in the Bachelor Stakes, including the 8-5 morning line favorite Kairama, who will be coming from